And now for all you gearheads out there in Cyberland, which also includes myself, I'd like to go over the equipment I use and why I use what I use. Um, this setup is geared for live playing. The bulk of my stuff is live, and in the studio you can change things up and you have a chance to experiment. But when you're live on the gig, you don't have that ability. So you kind of have to think about what's going to sound best and mesh with all the other instruments and the room you're playing and that kind of thing. And a lot of times you don't know what the room is, so you have to kind of see what works best and then figure it out and carry those things all the time. So you're always prepared. So the first thing I'd like to speak about is my snare drum that I use. It's a 5.5 by 14 10-ply maple snare. It is the standard. I have had more compliments about this snare drum than any of the other exotics or crazy or even the beautiful sounding drums, the walnut snare drums that I have. They don't get the compliments this guy gets. And it's in a conversation I had with Jack Mayer. He was telling me because this is the one that everybody knows for years and years, and this is the sound that's in everybody's head. And when it's put together just right, it's the one. So this is the one I use if I don't know what else I want to use. This is the guy. And the one thing about it too is that I have this trick snare throw off, which is a step throw off, and it has 3 steps plus an off. So you have the off position, of course, nice and open, and then the first step would be like a more open snare where it buzzes a little more, and then a medium, and then a tighter. And I kind of think of it like for the faster songs, I like to go with a tighter feel, a medium tension for more like a rock kind of medium groove, and then for a nice ballad, big open sound, I can do that and play in different various parts of the drum. And the beauty of this snare drum is that I can go across different tensions and it sounds like a completely different drum every time. So that's that drum. For the toms, just a 12 and a 16, sometimes a 14 if it's a bigger room. I have a little bit more room. I was using a 10 for years, but it just cut too much. And I found that the more that you cut, the more you get in the way of what's going on musically. So little lower tones, nice warm sound, 2-ply coated heads to kind of keep it warm. They get in, nice tone, and get out of the way. And it blends in much nicer with the music when we're playing, and it kind of sound like this. Bass drum, 20-inch bass drum, 18-inch depth. I prefer a 20 over a 22. I know most people use 22s. I prefer a 20 simply because it sits better with me. I like a quicker tone, a little brighter, not so heavy. It kind of gets in. It still has a nice punch to it though because of the depth. Gives you a little bit more air movement and a little bit more depth that way, but it's also tighter, so it cuts through a little bit better. It doesn't work real well if it's not mic'd, but it does. But if mic'd, it has a great balance to it. So it kind of sounds like this. And now for my cymbals, I'll start with the hi-hats here. The bottom cymbal is an unlathed Z-style hi-hat. It's kind of a KZ setup. The bottom one, so I can get that cut through all the loud guitars and everything on stage. And then the lathe top to kind of add the warmth. And I use a 13 size for playability. I like to do a lot of fast figures, in certain parts. But with the lathe top, then it's kind of a soft one. It's actually a Sabian Paragon in this case. It's kind of warm for a 13. It's a nice sound. Got a good slosh. Good tight sound. Good for foot, keeping time with the ride cymbal. And a nice open sound. For crash cymbals, I was getting complaints for years about being too bright. So these are warmer. They're the hand hammered. I also use 1/16. It's a little brighter sounding for when we're bashing. You're getting a little hard and heavy. It's something that cuts through a little bit better. But for the most part, these are warmer cymbals, an 18-inch and a 16-inch, and kind of funky sounding. And this one's a little brighter. They get out of the way real quick, and they're not real obtrusive on the ears, and singers are much happier for that. And lastly, my ride cymbal. A nice ping. It's a kind of a medium heavy, so it has a nice ping. And then a nice decay, a nice wash as well. But again, in and out real quick. Doesn't build up too many overtones, so it doesn't sound real washy, but it's not too pingy. You know, I use a stick with a light bead. It's a light stick. So basically everything here is designed to be in and out, and not be in anybody's way. So all together, the kit sounds something like this.